What is going on YouTube? Hayden back making another brand new Crypto TV episode. In today's video, we're going to be looking at Litecoin, Bitcoin, Ethereum, as well as XRP to US dollar. We're also going to be switching things up and looking at the S&P 500 as well, because I do think it is quite interesting, and I feel like it does tie in extremely well with the channel and the technical analysis that we did. I thought that we look at cryptocurrency technical analysis all the time, that we could probably apply some of the factors and, patterns onto the actual stock market. So I thought that would be quite interesting, especially with everything that's going on with the you-know-what. So it's going to be very interesting. Markets, although, do have some very interesting patterns, specifically some of these bigger cryptocurrencies, Litecoin, Bitcoin, and Ethereum are all just trading sideways, and it is very worrying. The other crypto, XRP, really is independent right now, acting independently from the other cryptocurrencies. It's pretty much just skyrocketing to the downside, plummeting, and it doesn't look like it's going to head up much higher anytime soon. So there's definitely a ton of stuff to talk about in today's episode. Obviously, if you guys are new to the channel, definitely make sure to subscribe, turn on post notifications, leave a giant thumbs up. Remember to follow me on Twitter at CryptoVOfficial for all the updates, or if you want to speak to me directly and just spark a conversation. Otherwise, let's jump into that episode. So as you guys can see, I'm on the current coin market cap, and yesterday we put out a very interesting video in regards to what does this mean, and I do want to continue off of that basis because it is still, once again, seeing a ton of consolidation. We know what happens after this. I will go into specifics. Specifically, I do just want to talk about the cryptocurrency market right now. Top 10 cryptos all look good. We even see XRP up slightly, but for the most part, you can see all across the board, we've literally flatlined, like literally flatlined. There is no movement right now. Sideways trading, there is practically no volume coming into the market. Coins are up, but honestly though, it's really not anything to gloat about or special. You can see we're literally just trading out sideways, seeing very little movement at all, and that is why I'm getting fairly concerned. Now, to jump straight into the technical analysis, we'll start with the three cryptos, Litecoin, Bitcoin, Ethereum, then talk about XRP, and if you guys have any interest in the S&P 500 technical analysis, definitely make sure to stick around to the end of the episode, because that's when I'll be discussing that. Now, here's what I want to talk about, and I reference this in practically every video. You can see on previous movements, when we trade sideways and we have very little movement, it tends to end with extreme volume. You can see that is exactly what is happening. At the end of this sideways movement and little volume consolidation, we ended up breaking bearish with extreme volume. Volume we haven't seen in the market in a very long time. You can see what's actually happening right now is Litecoin is doing that same exact thing with a bottom support at 33 and a top resistance at 39. We're now once again trading sideways in between these channels, and you can see that usually the fact that we're seeing very small movement within the price, flatlined on the oversold line, gives me reason to believe that there's probably going to be another big volume burst very soon. It's literally just like the past. We had this major sideways trade, then we broke bearish. We're having another sideways trade. Are we going to be breaking bearish again, falling down to extremely oversold markets, or are we going to swing back up with big volume, pulling us back to the high-low middle moving average? That's pretty much what the main topic of discussion is in today's video. That's specifically Litecoin. I like to reference Litecoin mainly because we see that consolidation. We don't see that as much within Bitcoin. Bitcoin doesn't really have much of that. We did have a lot of sideways trading here in between the high-low middle moving averages. Eventually, we toppled down lower. We fought out this uptrend right here, and we broke down once again. But you can see the uncertainty in the market is, ridiculous. We've had literally extremely oversold markets. Now we're slowly recovering from that. It does give us room to obviously break bullish. We could easily shoot up to 8,200. We'll see the difference between Bitcoin shooting up and whether or not the stock market will move up as well. Obviously, a lot of people that I've been speaking to are very panicked right now, and they're really on that mindset that we are going to head lower within the stocks. And if fear takes over, we're obviously going to outlive that. We're going to live through that, and we are going to see the market drop. Now, on the other note, with this sideways trading, I'm just warning you guys that there is big volume coming. And what does that mean? Just scrolling back here, this is very easy to trade. Obviously, there's a lot of movement for the most part. You can see that we do have, movements from, lower 6,500 up to 74, down to 71, up to 75. So there's a lot of trading. But right now, we're literally stuck in between the $5,000 and $5,400 channel. And this brings a lot of uncertainty. The fact that we're trading trading sideways. The fact that we have these massive wicks on either end of the stems gives me reason to believe that it's probably going to be breaking out in the next couple of days very quickly and very rapidly. Obviously, we discussed on Patreon, for those of you that have me on Patreon, the link is in the description, in reference to which end is going to break and how we can pretty much, lock in profits and play this conservatively. Now that we have generated some sort of pattern, we have something to go off of, unlike when we saw this major movement that I discussed in those episodes before. The fact that we're trading out sideways now, the fact that we see sideways trading with, obviously a resistance and a support, we now can understand that there is this big burst of volume coming to the market. And we know if we set up a buy order above, I would say 6,000, there's a good chance we'll rally all the way up to 8,000, 8,500. And if we break bearish and break below 4,400, there's a good chance we're going to head much lower. So now we can play both ends of the field and set up positions, shorts and longs on DueDEX. So to wrap up the technical analysis for cryptocurrency, we'll look at XRP really quickly. XRP is definitely one of those coins that is just not having a good day. We thought that in 2019 we would see, in 2020 we would see the first, positive return on investment within XRP within 3 years. Obviously, that's not the case. We literally fell lower than when we opened up. You can see the beginning of 2020 opened at 18 cents and we literally toppled off at 10 cents, currently trading at 14 cents. We are still below our previous low, and that's concerning. Honestly, the fact that we fell even lower than that and got right back inside the massive downtrend that is on this coin is even more of a reason as to why I think there's a good chance we're going to head lower. You can see the downtrend right here. You can see us retesting this. There's two options right now. Obviously, we're retesting oversold on the market, but I'm starting to notice maybe we're not just yet below it. We could be literally trading out on top of it, and it's just not as accurate on my chart right here. If we slide this down a little bit lower, we could base it off that. Then we could, potentially assume that we're literally bouncing off the top of here. We haven't yet broken below it. And we could be using this as a means of support, which could eventually help us rally back up to 35 cents. There's a ton of different options to play, a ton of different fields, but honestly, I am very, very, very certain that I am getting ready to use my DueDEX to basically leverage trade this Bitcoin when it does decide to, break up with extreme volume. Now, we want to mitigate or really lower our odds of seeing a flash, crash to the downside and then swinging back up, or a flash bull to the upside and swinging back down. That's why I'm trying to, kind of allow ourselves a little more wiggle room of certainty. So that's why I'm setting my buy-ins and my fills on Bitcoin at 6,100 for a long and at 4,420 as a short. These are two options that are available on my Patreon. Now, lastly, the one that I've been really wanting to discuss with you guys is my S&P 500 chart. So as you guys can see, I do have the S&P 500 index on the current screen, and this is definitely some very interesting movements right now. Clearly, I'm taking a technical analysis perspective from trading cryptocurrency and now applying it to stocks. Obviously, there are definitely tools that are different between the two markets. We know that the S&P 500 is a lot less volatile. As we know, you can see the clear uptrend for the most part as we've gone through some very, key important factors in our time. We can clearly see, if I just scroll back ever so slightly, back in 2008 when we had the crash that basically started cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, this was the reason. And you can see just as quickly as we dropped down, we corrected back up, and we always ended up moving back to our high-low middle moving average. And that's the point I am trying to discuss. We saw this massive drop right here, and if we just take our charts, or sorry, this is not what I wanted. If we take this tool right here for the price range, we can basically get a reading of about 56%. We saw a 56 or 59% drop in the price, and if we compare that to what's going on today, you can see we had a 30% drop. So that's what you guys have to take into consideration. Now, obviously, we could go lower, but also look at the fact that when we did shoot downwards. We ended up being oversold right here. This is the point. We did head a little bit lower when we recovered back up. You can see the downtrend versus the uptrend right here. But for the most part, once we bottomed out and became oversold, that's when the market started to crack back upwards. And as you guys can see, we are just now starting to enter that oversold market. So yes, the price may have just ever so slightly a little bit more to go. If we compare it to 2008, we may have this little area right here. And this region consists of a date range of about, I would say, 15 days. So about 2 weeks left that we could potentially be seeing within the current charts right now. So that's pretty much what I wanted to reference, guys. The '08 stock crash that we had dropped us 60%. And now we have regulations to help us with the correction that we see right now. The other thing is every time we either retest the high-low moving average or we retest the, or we break below it, we end up coming back, coming back through it. You can see previously, and this is what I wanted to reference right now, is we had back in 2016, I believe, or sorry, 2018, we had another little drop in price. You can see that the first drop that we had was about 30%, but this one was about 20%. So with this correction of 20%, you can see we ended up breaking below the moving average. So the fact that we're now currently below here and being oversold gives me reason to believe that the market is probably due to correct back up to this moving average fairly soon. So this is the S&P 500. This is a great, view of what's going on within the economy. A lot of people are nervous and selling off due to the fact that, as we know, people are getting not only laid off, but they're losing their jobs. Specific people that work on the tips industry, restaurants, services, fast food chains, gyms are all being closed, and they don't have a source of income. So what are they doing? They're pulling their retirement funds and their money that was invested into stocks out, so they have some, money to, basically support themselves through whatever this, ends up being. Now, do I expect to see another drop even lower? I really don't, but with this fear that's going around through the market, it's definitely a possibility. We could head ever so slightly lower, but I look at this as a great opportunity in years to buy the dip. I really do. The economy's strong. We've been through 2 world wars. We've been through a Cold War. We've been through 9/11. We've had a ton of different stuff happen in the United States. And to see this drop, as crazy as it is when you compare it to the years that we've been trading, this is going back all the way to, we could go back to 1987. We've always moved up, even on dips that we've had. This is in 2001, we had this massive dip. Back when 9/11 happened, you can see this is 9/11. We dropped. But we recovered stronger than ever. We fell again, we recovered stronger than ever. And we've been on this run for a very long time. And now we're starting to see another drop, but eventually we will recover and go back up to that point where we started from. So I look at this more as a strategy. People are nervous, but it will recover and move back up higher. These are great opportunities to be buying in on a market that you may never see prices this low again. So, there is room to head lower. There definitely is. Do I think it's going to drop that low? No. But, it is definitely a market to be trading around with. Obviously, if you guys have any opinions on this, definitely leave it down below in the comments. Remember, I'm no financial advisor. I'm just giving you guys my view on the market. Take it as, take it for educational or entertainment purposes, specifically entertainment purposes. And do what you want. Take it with a grain of salt, but I thought it would be cool to add to today's video. Otherwise, if you guys are new to the channel, definitely make sure to subscribe, turn on post notifications, leave a giant thumbs up, follow me on Twitter at CryptoVOfficial, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video. Peace.